Welcome back to another episode of They Don't Want It. I'm Reni Maitua. My man Aaron Mace is in the hot seat again today. Darcy Lussick is still away for another week or so.
I think another week or two.
Another week. He's going to come back a mess. How much weight do you reckon he's put on?
A bit.
The big fella. But we kick on, Mace. Let's start with the freak of the week, mate.
No, let's start off. How was your weekend? You were at your Dogs game.
Yes. I was at the Dogs game, mate. I think it's my second or third game for the season. I generally stay away from going out to Homebush purely because it's quite far and,
too far from the ocean. I believe if you can't smell the ocean at the harbour, you've gone too far.
Well, that's it. And the new M8's great. You get out there in 25 minutes. So it's perfect.
Insane.
And I shouldn't disclose this information, but I've got a swipe for New South Wales Rugby League and I use their car park out there. So me and Willie Mace were stoked. But no, I went out there. It was another great win. Bit of controversy around it. But it's just good to be out there and see the boys enjoying the fruits of their labour, their hard work.
Just their last effort defence again. It's just...
They're just turning up and turning up and turning up. And it's great. It's fantastic for the club. And to get big home crowds, like there was 25,000 there on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I sat out on the sideline for the first half and went inside for the second half because I was too cold and watched it on the TVs inside the dressing rooms, but there was like a 5-second delay.
Yeah.
So we're trying to sit there and we knew something was coming, but it was a 5-second delay. So obviously, there was a few sort of moments within that second half and then they kicked that field goal. But all in all, it's great to be around the club, shake hands with a few of the current players and they appreciate us being out there. So I was out there with Willie Mason, like I said, mate. So
I want to ask you a quick question.
Yep.
Last year, I think their differential was something like minus 350, something ridiculous. They got slapped so many times.
Yep.
This year, they're in the positive. They're just outside the top 4. How can you turn your defence around so fast?
It's all about a belief system and buying into what's being taught. They have turned it around a lot quicker than expected, but that just proves that you've got the right characters within that squad that are going to buy into a system. They're not going to come with their own ideas or try and change things or be a bad influence on the group. You've just got to buy into the system that's in place. Yeah. Cameron Serrato was the best defensive coach in the competition before he even took over as the head coach. So it's incredible that Cameron and his extended staff have drilled this into this team and they've all bought in, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Most important thing, mate. Let's get into the freak of the week. So who do you have, mate?
I'm going to stick with one of my Roosters and the big...
Fancy that.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sticking off with Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, and not necessarily just for his performance on the weekend, but just his performance, his whole career and what he's done to the club. And the fact that he was put into the bin was just...
Not only that, what about the blood on the face?
The blood... it was a poetry in motion. It was
the perfect storyline for Jared's 307th game.
Yeah.
So he's the most capped Rooster of all
just
times.
Took over Mitchell Orbison, another great clubman who still works with the club. But you see him, and I'm lucky I get you going to the chairman's, you get to see him, and it's instantly from the second he walks off that field, mate, he's there doing autographs for kids, getting photos. He looks like the most gentle giant, but I would hate to be anyone. He
doesn't look like a gentle giant.
No,
he is a gentle giant.
He is a gentle. No, but you see, his demeanor changes like instantly. Yeah. But so you would have played against him?
Yeah, I played against Jared. A big boy, like a big. He had a presence on the field.
Yeah,
like you knew that it was going to take some effort to bring Jared down. You knew in the defensive line that he was there to try and take you out, and he redlines a little bit, plays just within the rules, which is great, and that's what you want from your front rower. Yeah. You want a thrower that's intimidating. You need that fear factor within your side. You want other packs to look over their shoulder and go, Jared's playing, right?
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to get a few of those during my career, but early in my career, and I truly believe that Jared is similar to his teammates to what Mark O'Mealy was to me. Yeah. So I get to the dressing room. I'm a 21-year-old kid, and you'd walk in the sheds and I'd look across, and Mark O'Mealy would have his head shaved, no hair on the head, no hair on his face, have dank rub getting rubbed into his skull by the physio. Legit.
Yeah.
And for me, sitting there as a 21-year-old kid, just going, that guy is on my team. Like I am confident. It's almost like having a father figure out in the field for you. And I reckon Jared would have similar feelings by his teammates, that just to know that, hey, we've got this, Jared's here.
It's that brave heart energy.
It is a father figure that some players need, that safety net within their squad. So Jared, no doubt, brings that kind of energy to his team. So just to see like the blood on the face, the sin bin, I was like,
it was like it was written a script, wasn't it?
But he's cut from the old cloth too. Like there's not many players outside of Jared. Like he's probably the last of the characters in the front row. Would you agree? Like I can't think of too many players off the top of my head that are cut from the old cloth.
Yeah, he's got that old school mentality.
If he was 25, would you extend his contract? Like I'm just want to put it put a spin on it where you knew he was just going to give away a shitload of penalties. It's like get sin bin.
Yeah,
like it's worth it, right?
It is.
It's worth it.
Well, I think people would debate it at times, and there's been times where you've gone discipline this, but what he does, as you said, on and off the field, and just that energy, because it changes a game.
Yeah, his teammates are willing to do that extra bit of work if Jared decides to give away a few penalties.
I think Junior, he's not like that, but Junior Paulo is probably maybe a little bit of that old school where he can change that game where he comes on. And I've seen it at Parra, in the Roosters Parra game. He comes on, you notice it. And I think it's been the genius of Robbo this year of getting him to play off the bench, and that's what's prolonged him. He has started a couple of times.
He's the kind of player that you're going to miss. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not a Roosters fan, you're going to miss a JWH contest on the field. You know, he's been through a few eras now.
Definitely.
And now he's like still mixing it with the young Bulls or young Lions in the game.
I reckon that 18 months ago, I was like, fuck, is he losing it? He lost that little bit more pace? And I just went, have we held on to him too long? And then he just comes out and just goes, fucking whack.
He comes off the bench. He knows it's his last year.
Yeah.
He's giving his body everything. Can you imagine how sore he's going to be in retirement?
But he's going to play 2 more years in England, I think.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he signed for another. He's ain't giving footy up.
Smoking cigars over there, mate.
A couple of
Hey, you know what? It's like, respectfully, like the Super League is a lot more attacking orientated. So you do a hell of a lot more running over there, but the week in, week out intensity, definitely.
A few more bottles of red.
Few more bottles of red, mate. Few more bottles.
All right, who's your frig of the week,
mate? I can't go past Mitch Barnett. I mean, to watch him live and then be at the stadium and see what he's doing from going back row, front row, back to the back row. He had 5 offloads, 56 tackles, 2 misses, 23 hit-ups for 226 metres. I mean, you could not keep him out of that Origin team.
Yeah.
His effort, I think he might have played 83 minutes as well. He was just banging and kicking down that door for the Origin team.
I think aside from Angus Crichton, they're probably the 2 most informed forwards right now.
Yeah, he'd be up there. It's a well-deserved pick in the Origin squad. So I'm really just to see his game develop and evolve from a back rower to a front rower to a back to the back row, can play in the middle, still has the skill of a back rower. He can find that pass, and then he can play tough. He plays tough all the time, but he's a special forward, a very special forward, because I can't think of any other front rowers that are going. Well, there'd be a few here and there, but they're going front row, back row, front row.
Yeah,
he's a special athlete, and
he's 30, so he's still got a good couple of years of, like, he's kind of just really starting to hit his peak now. I
saw, shades of it at Newcastle. I thought this guy's got talent, but I didn't see enough of it. And then
he's kind of been a little bit, he's just started, it's like a fine wine. He's started to mature, and it's just all started.
Going to the Warriors and then finding him that role like when I started watching footy again, I thought, fuck, he's gone to the front row. How's this going to work? And I watched him play front row. I go, mate, he's a great front rower. Has he been a front rower the whole time? Then he goes back to the edge and he's got a pass in his game. Like, man, this guy is your good middle forward. Like, he can play middle and he can play on the edge. Whereas, like, Olakau'atu, probably the perfect example, that is an edge player, struggled in the middle.
Yeah, he's a specific.
So he's an edge front row, basically Barnett.
Yeah, he's specialist. Yeah.
Specialist. Yeah. So he's my freak of the week, mate.
All right, well, let's use that we'll step in. Let's have a look at this Origin.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we've had an extra 24 hours to process these teams. Just going off like the team sheets, like I thought, fuck.
It's like Billy didn't have the extra 24 hours.
I know. I mean, I looked at that team and just going off, the optics, I'm like, man, we should win 13 plus easy.
Sounds scary.
And I've had another 24 hours to think about it and maybe dissect where Billy's going with his team.
Well, let's start with why did he not pick David Fifita?
Look, this is everyone's spoken about the effort areas and the off the ball movements, and Billy's been pretty vocal about. There wouldn't be another human on this planet that watches more rugby league than Billy Slater. He'd watch the games live, and then he'd rewatch at Eagle Cam. He knows every player's movements around the ball, off the ball, what they're doing at all times, and he has an understanding or a belief that he knows what it takes to what he wants in his Queensland side. Right?
It'd be pretty tough watching that first 46 plays.
Oh, absolutely, but
he would have done it.
David Fifita has been playing out of his skin the last month. And I truly believe that David Fifita needs to be in this Queensland side somewhere, going off what they've dished up in the first two games, not just the last one.
Yeah.
They're lacking some power. They're lacking some punch. They're lacking some aggression. David Fifita fits that mold perfectly. Now, there is something in the game that we as fans aren't recognising that Billy is, and seeing something that we don't know. He's seeing something in David's game that just doesn't fit what he thinks takes to be wearing a Queensland jersey. It's as simple as that, because I don't think it's anything to do with off-field dramas or speculate. I don't want to speculate at all. Billy Slater is willing to not sacrifice a series. No player that plays for Queensland is bigger than
the jersey. The
history and the legacy of that Queensland jersey. That
I am, because we are. We
are Queenslanders. Yeah. So
that's his mentality.
If he is to go against what he believes it is to be a Queenslander, then he's going against his own philosophies to be a Queenslander. No one player is bigger than the Queensland jersey in Billy's eyes. Now, if you want to go just purely off the eye test and what he brings, I've got to have David Fifita in the side. If you're going off the analytics and off the ball movement and what you've seen, sometimes he's stubborn. Maybe his stubbornness is clouding his judgment on this Queensland side, and he's overthinking it.
Let's bloody hope so.
I hope he's overthinking it. But look, I've got to respect Billy for making that decision, because there's going to be a lot of question marks over not picking David Fifita, especially if they lose. But the bigger picture and the long-term effect of being a Queenslander and what he wants in his side, he's stuck with his...
Well, let's talking about his philosophies, his fabric, the jersey. Dane Gagai is that man.
He is that man. Gags, I'm so happy for him to get back in that side. I think he had a bit of a shaky game against Para. And of all people, Mitch Moses burns him twice on the outside. I thought, oh, shit, Queensland have more issues. But then he turned it around the weekend. He had a really strong performance. I like Selwyn Cobbo coming into the side.
Definitely.
Taulagi probably had a couple of questionable efforts in that game. One miss in particular when he tried to jam on Critter maybe, and then Critter offloaded to who's the right winger, Lomax, to score that try.
Yeah.
Val has
Val going back to the wing.
I like Val back on the wing as well.
Hammer there.
See, like, Val defensively has been poor. But you can't, like some of his misses, you're thinking, you're better than that. Like this is uncharacteristic of you to have those misses. But there's one thing about Val, he'll still keep having a go and he'll keep trying. And he plays better on the wing anyway in Queensland jersey for sure.
Definitely.
I think he's just pulling back a little bit. This is your carries out of the back. This is your role. I want carries out of the backfield. I want you to finish tries. I want you to make decisions in defence and back you. Centres, it's hard.
And I think that's one thing Dane Gagai is. He's strong in D.
Strong in D. He's aggressive and he grows another leg when he
puts on that jersey.
Head when he puts a Queensland
along
jersey
with half the crowd. But I think that was one thing. Like Latrell and Stephen Crichton, not only did we go through them in the middle, our centres just went. Their first hits were just like bang, and they just bounced them. And I think he's really tried to strengthen up in the centres with Gags and.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Coates and Taulagi was still available, I think Gags would have still got in the side. I think you had to bring Gags in.
Yeah.
You bring his experience in, especially in a decider.
He's moved Kurt Capewell to start. What are your thoughts?
You know what you're going to get from Capewell in terms of effort and effort areas. I mean, he's not going to bend the line every carry. He just knows what he's going to get in that jersey. He knows he's going to get a person that's going to turn up for 80 minutes for his teammates. That's what you get from Kurt Capewell. Yes, he's that, he's getting a little bit older now. He's not going to break your line, but he's an awkward kind of back rower. Like he doesn't have unbelievable strength or great footwork, but he just seems to be that kind of awkward back rower that seems to like get his elbows, his knees, his hips, find his front.
He does those little 1%.
He does little 1% as well. And
then I watched also grows a leg and a head in the Queensland jersey.
Yeah. I watched him live again last week, for the Warriors, and he turned up for everything. I look at their bench and I think you got beat in the middle for the majority of the second game, definitely, but parts of the first game as well. How are you going to contain Payne Huss, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Ken Murray, Barnett, Spencer Leniu, Yowie?
We absolutely dominated that first 40 through our forwards. We just absolutely bashed them. And I don't think they've countered it.
Yeah, they haven't.
And
look, they don't have Tino and they don't have Flegler. Two massive
men.
Enforcers within their side. And it just like you've gone Harry Grant, who's carrying a sternum injury, Fodawaker, great player, Felice, great player, great.
Do you think they'll definitely start this game with Harry and Kalen both on the bench?
Yeah, they'll stay with
they'll
Ben
stick
Hunt.
with this side.
I wouldn't look. Harry Grant, like your sternum injuries are fucking nasty. Like they're fucking.
They hurt to breathe.
Horrible, and it only takes one knock, and it triggers again. So, who's your 18th man? Trent, Loiero. I question the forward pack, and then where Kalen Ponga becomes a threat.
Where do you think Kalen comes on? What position?
I don't care where he comes on, and I don't think Queensland care where he comes on. He's come on at 13 before.
Well, he made his debut in the back row, didn't he? Or was it 13? 13 or back row. It was in the forwards.
He was in the forwards. He came on at 13.
It was one of the best debuts.
Kalen Ponga. There is no Kalen Ponga unless their forwards are winning the middle of the field.
Yeah.
It's pointless. Like he's not going to be a threat if they're on the back foot, and that's why like Paddy Carrigan, he's about it. Like Lindsay Collins, they're all Ruben Cotter. They're all great players, but coming up against this New South Wales pack, I don't see them finding a role for Kalen. I don't see where he can be effective. A great player, but unless your pack's going forward and you're winning the middle third of the field, obviously he's there for a backup in the backs as well. I just don't see him being as effective to when he played 13 previously because you're missing Big Tino. You're missing there's
that
no Josh
Papali'i. Yeah.
There's no Flegler. Ruben Cotter, a small forward. Paddy Carrigan, he can play front row. I think like Jeremiah Nanai, he's going to go after it. Like he's going to be.
He will definitely go after it. He's a try scoring machine. That's a fault.
I don't.
You sound confident. Very confident.
I can't see them beating this New South Wales team.
Had we had not lost Trell, and that's all due respect, Bradman Best, we had that fear of God in them.
Mate, I would have. What does it pay for 20 plus on CrossBet? I can't see how Queensland can beat this team. I'd like to have a look at it and go, oh, there's Munster. Yeah, shit. Oh, there's Flegler. Yep. There's Tino. Yep. But I just look at it and I think they aren't winning anything in the middle third of this field.
We talked about the end of like the second half. So we've spoken heaps about how we started that game. Go back and look at the second half of the game we just won. I don't even think we won the second half. Our discipline was there. Yes, we might have taken the foot off the throttle a little bit. They're going to come out firing though. They will come out firing.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
And if our discipline isn't at 100%, they're going to be happy to blow the whistle up there.
We spoke about this last week. Or when did we speak about it? Anyway,
after the game, yeah.
After the second game, it's they really need to be careful about where they push the boundaries in terms of be aggressive, be very aggressive and frustrate the hell out of them. But there's not going to be any of that niggle shit. They'll blow the whistle straight away.
Liam Martin, how do we put a muzzle on him? Does he need to have a 3 bags full to relax or something? Yeah. Just
give him a Valium at half time just to settle him down a little bit. But he just needs to control his aggression.
Controlled aggression's how we win this
aggression. Game. We hunt as a pack, numbers in tackles, be aggressive, but you can be aggressive without being a grub.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we can be grubs and we got away with it in game 2 and they've been grubs for years. Like, don't get me fucking wrong. This is Origin.
It's grub football Origin.
But I just want to see a performance that is just
clinical.
Polished and clinical, where it's just, there is no excuses.
What's Madge's game plan going into this game?
It doesn't change from the first 2.
Yeah.
We target DCE. We go at him. We make him work. We keep that right edge. We keep working over that right edge. We keep working it over. Take him out of the game. Don't let Reece Walsh come into the game. Yeah. We kicked the corners, pin him down. Don't let Reece have an opportunity.
And I think that's a big part of having Mitchell Moses, because even if that sets that little bit less, you're getting that real good kick at the end and just slowly build that momentum.
They've got to play a very disciplined, polished style of footy, aggressive, and the result will take care of itself.
Yeah.
There's no reinventing the wheel for this third game. We already know what works in the first 2 and how we can dominate this side, that nothing else needs to change.
What are your thoughts on Bradman Best coming in the side?
Love it. Outside of Latrell, he's well deserving of getting that left centre job.
Yeah.
Like, he's been throwing up big numbers at club footy.
Huge numbers.
He's just
he's got that Origin thugness a bit.
Yeah. I love the fact that
there's a bit of gangster in him.
Yeah. I'm shattered that Latrell's out. Shattered.
Yeah.
Like, when the news broke, I was in the dressing room. I was looking over at the Fox broadcast and I saw that he was out, and I went straight on Instagram and read that he'd done his Liz Frank. It was devastating. It took that little bit of, it just sort of took the wind out of you a little bit.
For a second, it was that, fuck me, here we go again. Just for a second.
Yeah. But, they would have been, they'd be feeling that little bit of confidence knowing Latrell's out. Latrell's presence on the field is frightening. It'd be frightening for all of them to think, fuck, we're going to deal with this big bastard, So it just knocked the wind out of the sails a fraction. And then once you kind of got your head around, okay, well, who's up next? Bradman Best, playing well. He'll do the job. He'll do a job. But I'm shattered for Latrell.
Do you think we'll see Connor Watson come on a little bit earlier this time?
I think if the game stagnates and it goes through that stale period where it did in that first 15 minutes of the second half, inject him, get him in, let him change the flow of the game. Even if it's just test it. Like, if they can need a bit of a momentum swing or they need some energy, because you know what you're getting from Spencer, you know what you're getting from Barnett, you know what you're getting from Yowie. But under fatigue, Connor Watson could be that little bit of difference. Instead of like having a 15, 18-minute period where the game was stale, maybe that'll only last 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Because Connor Watson goes, all right, let's go flip it again and change the momentum and really have Queensland moving around again, or really working him over and
not giving him time to breathe.
Exactly. It's all about just keeping that momentum, especially from all those guys on coming off the bench.
What's your prediction?
This is the most confident I've ever felt. Honestly, going into Suncorp, I'm 13 plus.
Yeah.
I can't see Queensland coming up with an answer for that team. Especially now that I've got to give Madge a rap. Like, taking him out to the Blue Mountains and really just not hiding him away, but taking him out to the country and it's not so much country. Like, it's only what?
It's country to you and I.
It's country to you and I. But just getting him taking him out to the Blue Mountain and just, they're not in Coogee, they're not around all the people. It's just, hey, we're here to do a job. We're 3 games together. Let's get it fucking done.
I think New South Wales have got into the motion of just, this is Origin and we go to Coogee, and it was like the same recipe that started to not work. And
I don't think you can blame like Coogee or whatever.
No, I'm not blaming.
But like,
you know what? Like you said, he changed.
Like, hey, we're here to do a job. Yeah, you're here representing you. It felt like New South Wales were only sometimes representing Sydney when they were in Coogee.
Yeah,
going out to the Blue Mountains, you're representing the state. Hey, you're out here.
We're out here. We're out here in the sticks.
You don't breathe. Not breathing in the air of bloody Coogee.
Yeah,
go out in the mountains. Feel a little bit of the cold in the morning.
Yeah.
Understand that this is here. This is not the Sydney, New South Wales Blues. This is the state.
He brought that like it's culture almost. Like
it was a great move from Madge. He's just really bought into to the whole Origin experience, and he's put his own twist on it, and it feels like a New South Wales team now. Don't you agree?
Yeah, he's got that passion. It's like he's instilled passion.
Yeah,
and you can feel.
Well, there was a lot of question marks last year and the year before about, do the New South Wales boys, especially around the Samoan boys that were going to play for Samoa but playing for New South Wales, is there enough passion within this jersey?
Yeah.
I didn't agree with that. But now I'm just like, nah, something feels different. It feels like
I think he's instilled it almost in the fan, in Madge trust. Like,
well, there's a lot more spite in this, like, I feel like in this Origin, like, not compared, like the old days, there was a lot of spite, but then it sort of like became a lot more professional. And then now that the coaches are sort of bickering, and then the commentators and Gordy saying this feels like it's a lot more spite. It feels like Origin again.
And that's what it's meant to be.
Exactly.
I think state versus state. I think they took it out of us when they won 8 years straight. And
I stopped watching footy for a while. I didn't even watch Origin. How do you win with Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater, Jonathan Thurston and Cameron Smith in the side? And Darren Lockyer.
Like that was just, scary, that side. But that goes to show when you have mates that grow up playing together and then that chemistry and then do it at the ultimate level.
Fair, like we should have won at least 4 out of the last 6 series, 5 out of the last 7. We've definitely had the teams to do it, but that Queensland spirit that they all talk about, just they jagged those couple of, the worst ever Queensland side when they jagged that one. Like, those are the ones that get away, and that's what. But for the first time, I feel like Queensland, like I can see chinks in the armor. I just feel like there's no way. I'm that confident. I'm as confident as Queensland should have been having that spine with 8 in a row. Yeah. Now I'm like, nah, this is the team to go on a run now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually. I know it's because they're up there, but look, they're favourites. And they're favourites because they're up there. But
Queensland are favourites.
They're favourites.
Shut up.
It's $1.79, $2.04.
If Queensland win, I'll never do another podcast.
Don't say that. We want you here every week. We want you here every week. We want that insight.
Look, I'm sure we'll see a lot.
I just hope we're not 15 minutes in and they've got they've a lucky try. We're getting frustrated. We've copped a couple of penalties, and we're like, "Fuck me, here we are again." And we've seen it.
It could happen.
Yeah, it's not because in Madge we trust.
In Madge we trust, and I trust. Like they're out in the Blue Mountains, and they're ready
for war. And that side, like you don't put.
I don't see any arrogance to the point where they feel like, fuck, we're just going to go up there and just be another walk in the park. We're gonna belt them. I just really feel like they're far more prepared for every outcome. Only 2 New South Wales teams have won a decider at Suncorp out of 12 or 13. This team's about to make history again.
All right, let's move on to our week-to-week footy. And ex-Origin star and poor Nico Hines, he's broken a leg, done syndesmosis.
Tragic.
Like he's just
I feel
gone.
So sorry for him. He's talked a guy off a bridge during the week.
Yeah, but massive kudos there. Wow,
mate, like he's just such a good human. I don't know him. I've never met him. Everything I see about him, his aura, his energy he gives off, his interviews, you know he's a good person. He's gone through this roller coaster of absolutely killing it, has the calf injury, gets picked in Origin, gets dropped from Origin, comes back, misses a field goal, talks a guy down from a bridge, breaks his leg at training.
Dude, could it almost be like the Sharks and halves in Origin? Like poor Brett Kamali threw an intercept and it ruined him for 3 years.
Tell you what he's saying, Sharks players shouldn't play
Origins and destroy their careers.
Man, I just feel so sorry for the kiddo. Like,
in saying that, and I think you mentioned before, could it almost be a silver lining for him where he gets some time away now?
I think emotionally, like if I'm in his shoes, I'd be like, fucking, what have I done to deserve this? Like, and he could be taking it fine and, like this is part of the game. I move on. But emotionally, like when you're like a half, is he the captain? When you're a leader of a squad, all the pressure and all the focus is on you, especially when you're playing in the halves. You have like another breakout year. You're leading the Dally M's. Everything's working for you. And then you go through this period in the middle of the year where things aren't going your way.
No.
Then you break your leg. I think there's a silver lining in the fact that he can just take a rest from the game for a bit and just take away the constant pressure and the emotion and the mental drain that's probably weighing on him.
Well, like they've been beaten by I think 3 of the bottom 17 teams in the last 6 games. So I think you go back 6 weeks ago, everyone said Cronulla are just going to finish in the top 4 by default because they've got the best raw. Then they've gone out and lost 4 or 5 games that I think no one expected. They were like very short price favourites.
I think it's been a bit of a trend the last few seasons that this time of year they've kind of dropped off. And I watched that game against the Titans and I don't know what it is they're missing. I can't put my finger on it.
Because it's got to be a big. I've got a huge. What are your thoughts on like Fitzgibbon? Because me personally, I've always loved him as a bloke. I've seen him around the Roosters for a long time. I know how much it is, and New South Wales and the respect that everyone has for him.
Yep.
His own work ethic, what he instills into a team.
He there's no doubt he's the perfect man for that job. He's come from a great system in the Roosters. You know?
We sat next to Trent Robinson for a long time.
But he's another one. Like he was their defensive coach, like similar to a Serraldo.
Yeah.
So he's taken that same defensive structure to the Sharks. I just don't see where the drop off in form is coming from. I don't know what it is. I can't. When I was watching them against the Titans, I was thinking Titans are just a better team.
Mm.
If I'm looking at the game, not just on pieces of paper, I'm just watching the game. I'm like, if I didn't know any players, I'd be Titans is the far more superior team.
Which is funny. Like in the Bulldogs game, though, when they played the Bulldogs a week ago, I thought the first 20 of the second half, I went, fuck, Sharks and they steamrolled this team. They looked so good with the ball, but they just couldn't ice that last try. And I was putting it down to the last-ditch effort of the Bulldogs, which they seem to do week after week. But is it also that there's something they're lacking the cohesion, the finish?
The cohesion, the finish. They're not liking the arm wrestle. They'll stay in an arm wrestle for 60 minutes, 65, but they just don't like that extra 15 minutes.
So, which is weird because I think in the years prior, one thing they were good at was getting in that arm wrestle, especially when they had Gow, and over those years, one thing they were good at was getting into an arm wrestle and kind of playing that grubby footy. They seem to have lost it where they can't ice that last bit.
If a couple of things go against them, they start to fold a little bit. I honestly don't have an opinion on this because I don't know what they're missing. I can't genuinely look at the game and go, they're missing this, this, and this.
Could it be?
Yeah, they're missing confidence. Definitely confidence. Like you look at Nico, right? He was always, he'd be the best one of the best on-ball halves in the competition in terms of if they're going forward, he's on one side of the ruck, he's on the short side, he loves short sides. I don't see him taking short sides.
Yeah.
It's a confidence thing.
He's gone away from what he was doing really well at the start of the season.
And it comes down to confidence. Like to do a short side raid, you got to be confident in your ability. Like it's a bit of a risky play taking a short side sometimes. You know, you might just see a little 3-on-2, but you're working essentially with a smaller space.
Yeah.
When you start to doubt your ability as a half or as a ball player, those spaces get even smaller and smaller and smaller because you just don't have the confidence to pull that trigger and throw that pass. It's confidence, and when you're chasing points or you're chasing a win, you just tend to put your hands in the pockets a bit more and go, no, I didn't see enough of a gap in that one.
Well, I think you even saw it with even his goal kicking. Such a good goal kicker, and he missed some of those like clutch kicks that he would just be so good at getting. It just goes to show when your confidence out.
And it's not just Nico. It's
the team.
The pressure builds within the club, and you know, then training gets harder.
Yeah,
and then you've got to make sure you have a coach that's not bringing emotion into the training, into the dressing room or to the training pitch, and trying to weed out any sort of weaknesses on the training pitch. Something like go against what you've done all year.
Yeah.
All right. If you've built something in a preseason, you take it into the training sessions all year. And then there might be a period of like 3, 4, 5 weeks where things aren't going your way. And then they try and change things at training. And training might be a bit harder. Or they might bring in that extra contact session. Or let's keep them an extra day. Hey, guys, you're not getting that day off because we need to work on this. Sometimes that can be detrimental to a team's confidence as well.
Sometimes the pressure just builds more and more.
It builds more and more and more.
Sometimes less is more.
Sometimes less is more. But I've seen it in my experience too when I was at a certain club and we were struggling, and we started trying to do too much, and it had the opposite effect where it was draining people's mental, their energy. You're just like, fuck, here we go again. We're doing almost 3 games a week just to get ready to play for a game. The coach, or some people might see it as a bit of a weakness if players aren't up for that. But you're not going to fix these small droughts in a 4-week period. Usually it's been building throughout a season. And then if you've got a 4-week period where you're going to give them that extra training session. And I don't know if this is the case at the Sharks, but you need to find a way to make this group happy. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Find the fun in going to training and turning up and playing a game. They
need a bonding session.
Bonding session always works.
Bonding sessions always
work. No phones. Take them to the Blue Mountains.
Northies.
Northies. That's what I'd end up.
What could it be? So we saw with the Knights. The Knights went through like a little bit of a shitty spell for just before Ponga got injured, and that cohesion wasn't there. And he was he was a player, and he was performing, but they were relying, and they weren't icing the victories. They were just getting beat. He gets injured, and I think they won 3 or 4 games straight after.
4 in a row.
4 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, and
could that be?
Who have you got going to 6 now?
Atkinson, yeah,
going to 6. Yeah, maybe, and that's not a knock on Nico. Sometimes you just go back to basics when you don't have your premier half in the side or your premier anyone that's like a.
Well, it's almost like when you look at the Cowboys, when all their stars go out, they play better as a team.
Exactly the same case because you fall back in to the system. You fall back into what Fitzgibbon's system is.
Yeah. And they play more to the system and
you
don't
play
rely
more
on
to the system
superstar.
than relying on Nico to call all the shots. And we're going here, we're going there. Kicks are going here. Just running the side. So
there you go. We found it. We're betting up on the Sharks this week. No Nico.
It just seems to be a common thread this year.
Yeah.
Where you said the Cowboys.
And a lot of these key players out. Well, maybe it is. It's they're falling back into the system and simplifying football. I had a coach growing up that said to me, used to say to me, he goes, Aaron, rugby league is a simple game played by simple people. Keep it simple.
Sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah.
Just keeping it simple. We'll see. I mean, I wish him a speedy recovery, and I think he might be able to. Like it was reported that it was Cinders Moses, but now they're saying he might have
broken a leg as well.
So that could be his season done, but
yeah, time will tell.
Time will tell, and it's hopefully he has a good recovery, and I want to see him back playing, top line footy and not having all these question marks about pressure and not performing under the bright lights.
All right, talking about clubs that aren't performing, Parramatta, new coach, Jason Riles, 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Comes from the ultimate.
He's certainly done his apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I thought he would have got a coaching role sooner, to be fair, because he's been an assistant for quite a while now.
Well, they were saying he was so close to being the Dragons coach, and I think I think he had the opportunity to take it and didn't take it.
Yep.
Probably didn't want to do the rebuild there.
Yep.
Where Flanners is doing an incredible job at the moment. But so he comes in, he spent a lot of time with Robbo. He's then with Bellier. Matt Tripp had him earmarked as the replacement for Bellier if he was to hang the boots up or go to Queensland or whatever it is that he wants to do. And they were holding on. I personally think if Melbourne's got him earmarked as your next Bellamy, it's a no-brainer.
He just needs to find his own way to galvanise his club because they've got issues outside of what's happening on the field as well because they've got the players.
They've got a roster.
You can't go to a grand final 2 years ago and then be sitting where you're sitting now. Gutho's still there. Jake Tungall, he's only a young kid. Penasini young. Blaze Talangi, you got to re-sign him.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Mulitalo, I think he's making his Dylan Brown. Like fuck me, like another superstar.
Yeah.
Arcee in the halves. Regan Campbell-Gillard, pointy end of his career. Offhand Gowie, like Madison. I really like this Charlie Geimer. Love him. You got to see this kid play.
He was unreal.
I think he's from. I think he may be from Temora, but fuck man, he's going to be a character within our game.
Yeah.
But having said that, getting Jason Riles there, you need a Jason Riles, someone that's come from the Melbourne, the Roosters system, a wealth of experience under top line coaches. He'll bring his own spin to it. And there's no doubt he'll galvanise what's happening on the field. Clean up the shit in your board, Para, honestly. Like, there just always seems to be problems with that board. I don't know what it is.
One massive loss for them, Junior Paulo now injured.
He's gone for the season.
Yeah.
They aren't doing anything this year.
No.
Their season's done.
And their season is done.
They're cooked.
And it hurt. Because when I was live at that Roosters Para game, and I'd watched him the week before when he comes off the bench. He's one player that turns them on.
Yep.
And then you would say, and then off the back of that, you then get Brown getting second phase play. And he's one of those players that is just electric when he's got second phase ball because you've got a static line, you can weave.
He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of work to do. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't want to be in a Para preseason.
No.
They are going to get absolutely flogged.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one to see who he can retain. There's a clause, Dylan Brown, in 2026, I think it was with a change of coach can opt out. There's been talk that Brad Arthur. So Brad Arthur's now just signed with the Leeds Rhinos to the end of the year. Was offered, I think, a 2 or 3 year deal. Knocked it, said no, he wants to hold just to the end of the year because he's putting his hand up for the Perth Bears, which is 2026. I think he's maybe originally, he's got strong ties to Perth. It's been touted just very early days.
He'd be great. He'd be great for that.
He'd be great. And
I'll give Brad a call as well. I wouldn't mind a coaching gig with the Perth Bears. Brad, if you're watching, mate, you need an assistant coach, I'll be keen as. Yeah. Oh, these clauses, they just really throw spinners in the works.
Hugely. And the thing is, obviously Brown, I think, got along really well with Brad Arthur, and he would be earmarked as their marquee signing, and they're going to get a budget to do it. And then you got a player like Blaze Talangi who looks.
If you're Para, you'd be nipping that shit in the butt straight away.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. Like, I don't know the intricacies of his contract, but I'd be like, Dylan, we see you as a long term. We want to sign you. We want to extend you to eliminate any chance of that happening. Any chance. He'd only be in his mid-20s, wouldn't he? Dylan Brown.
Yeah,
Blaze Talangi, like a 19-year-old kid, the future of that. He's the future of that club.
He's a freak. I'd love to see him in an East jersey.
The rest is.
We are looking for centres at the moment. Blaze Talangi. But yeah, mate, he's going to lock down. I know. Apparently, it was reported Jason Rolls was calling Zach Lomax today just to
make sure he hasn't flipped.
Yeah, make sure he hasn't.
Zach would do that. But for Dylan Brown, he'd be my Blaze Talangi, and Dylan Brown would be my priorities for that club for Rolsey.
Yeah.
Do not let that kid go. Dylan Brown is with this club forever. He retires at this club.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to lose it. You don't want to lose a Dylan Brown. No way. No way. He's the future of that club, and it'll give.
He's 24.
Rylesy some stability, knowing what direction his club's heading in, especially in his spine.
Yeah, and I think Mitchell Moses is in. I know the club's not going the best, but he's really starting to peak in the peak of his.
He needs stability around him too.
100% he does.
Like you might be the highest paid player, but just give me a squad that I feel stable with. Give me a coach that we know that, you board members go and fight over selections and who's going to be on the bloody board. And you guys do that. Leave the club alone. Let Rolsey just deal with that, and we'll deal with the on-field performances. And they should be fine. I mean, I would have loved Brad. I love Brad Arthur. He's a great guy, and he turned that club around. I think it just ran its course.
I think the biggest issue for him was he had the cattle, and he had the cattle for an extended period of time. And look, he got him to a grand final where they got slapped, but the club just didn't. I think
it ran its course. It ran its course, and they needed someone new. I don't mind the fact that they took a while to like, everyone was like, you don't have a coach and you haven't done this. No, what's the difference does it make?
Over.
The season's done. Bringing in Josh Hannay or bringing in Jason Rolls 4 weeks ago would not have made the difference to that club.
Not at all.
They took their time. They've done their due diligence as a board to say, we've interviewed the right people. This is the direction we're going to go in. Then just stick with it.
Yeah.
Players.
And they've given him 4 years.
Secure your roster.
Yeah.
Secure the roster now. That is Rolsey's focus. I'm going to secure my roster. I don't want any question marks. I don't want to hear about Perth Bears. I don't want to hear about any player leaving or clauses. We're going to build something now. And Jason starts now. Like, he might be is he still assistant now? He would be. Fuck.
Yeah.
But
will he start coaching like Wayne is at South, I reckon?
He'll be making the calls to Baz.
Making the calls to Baz.
Hey, Trent, try this. Fucking why not? Seriously. You may as well start seeing what you've got now.
Definitely.
Good.
Let's move on to our preview.
Let's go.
All right. We will go to the Dolphins, Redcliffe, $1.56 against South Sydney Rabbitohs, who are now missing.
Well, do you think Wayne's called Ben Hornby this week?
How does this work?
How's Wayne coaching against himself this week?
That's a great point. Like, The Battle of Wayne. The Battle of Wayne Bennett. This is like
Wayne
when you play
versus
chess
Wayne.
against yourself. Yeah, this is great.
I'm going to go the Dolphins this week. I like the Dolphins.
Is he going to prove a point to his team before he gets
I'm
there?
here for you guys. I really am. I don't like the fact that Latrell's out. Then you've got Cam Murray missing. Who else would be missing? Cam.
Yeah,
and Latrell.
Cam and Trell are the ones that are out. And they've been two of their four best players.
Trey Fuller. I love Trey Fuller. He's such a player, man.
Yeah.
Avarillo, Jack Bostock. Cody. Katoa.
This is
Tavita starting in the front row.
Yep. I'll give a shout out. Jacob Gagai. I thought he played enormous last week.
He was great, wasn't he?
He's really good. He's starting to come of age for them. I think.
Really good.
I think he's been good.
And obviously having Jack and Cody in the halves, it's been great.
It's been a good transition for Cody to take ownership of a side and be a genuine 7.
Kaloa Matangi's been great at 13.
Yep.
No,
they're definitely a lot of good signs for South. This is a game that I think a lot of people thought they could probably still win, but it could be a big loss for them. And
well, we'll see. Wayne versus Wayne. It'll be a great contest.
Depends which way Wayne wants to go.
Max Plath, what a player too. I mean, damn.
All right. We now go to Shark Park for their battle against the West Tigers. They're $1.46, $2.71 the Tigers. Obviously spoken about Nico being out.
Look, I'm going to go Sharks. I think they can, if they can just go back to basics, Atkinson goes to 5'8". They've definitely got the squad on paper they should win this game.
What did you make? What did you make of the Tigers against the Storm? They were able to score points.
Yeah, there were periods where they scored a lot of points. They got into it,
and they keep getting played. One big thing they've got an issue with is discipline.
Yeah, their discipline's on.
They almost have a player sent. I think they've got a player sent off in every game. They're even getting more.
When fatigue comes into it a little bit, because there's not enough experience within that side. With experience comes your discipline definitely improves.
Yeah,
because when you're under fatigue and you're under the pump and you're fairly new to first grade, you tend to make those errors.
Those silly errors,
those silly errors will creep into your game. But Sharks, I'll go Sharks to win that one.
Yeah, Sharks.
I'll turn it around.
I reckon Daniel Atkinson will have a big game.
Yeah, he'll be good at 6. He'll keep it he'll keep it simple.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a really good kid of the future. All right, we move on to the Titans at home, $1.44 against an in trouble Parramatta Eels, $2.80.
I'll go the Titans.
I'm going
to stick with Titans. You've got Jaden Campbell coming back.
Mate, they got Philip Sammy back. AJ Brimson's a big in for them.
Where's AJ coming on the bench?
He's currently at 18. I have a feeling he's playing though. Could be wrong. Don't quote me. But
you got Philip Sammy on the bench too.
Yeah.
I like what Titans are doing. I love that they're turning into a Des team. They are a Des team. Their defense
I think we spoke
great.
about it probably about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago where they were still losing, but they're only just losing. And we're going, fuck, they're playing good footy.
Yeah.
Like and it's just, they're starting the fruits of the labour.
Yeah,
Kieran Forens has been enormous for them.
Yeah, he's been great. He's such a good player.
He's just
the Fozzle. He's great. Yeah, I think, and I really like that Bo Form. What's his name? Firma.
Bo Firma. Yeah.
Bo Firma. Look, I just feel like they're a club building, and Para's on the decline too much. So I'm going to go Titans.
Yeah. All right, we move over to the Brisbane Broncos at home, $1.46, $2.97 Dragons. What did you make against the game against the Penrith? Low scoring.
I didn't watch enough of it. You've got too many Brisbane players out this week. I'm going to go to the Dragons. Ben Hunt.
You're going to the Dragons?
Yep.
Wow, $2.74 the Drags up there.
Yep. I'm going to go Dragons.
That's a bet, cross bet.
Yeah, I like Jaden Sewer staying in the side there. just fuck. It's so hard to pick this round, honestly. You just don't know what teams are turning up some weeks. I honestly thought Dragons were going to put up more of a fight against the Roosters. They obviously fell away in the back end of the second half, but, you know.
They certainly went with them for 40, 50.
I don't like. They've still got a team, though, Brisbane. You know, like, so you bring Sailor in. You've got Mariner moving to centre. You still got Katoni. You still got Ezra.
What are your thoughts on Tristan Sailor?
Great player.
Yeah.
Great player. Jordan Ricky, still got Piakura, who's a weapon.
You don't sound as confident in the 274 at the Dragons.
No, I'm going to go Dragons. I'm going to stick with my Dragons.
All right, beautiful. We now go to Manly at 4 Pines. Sunday Arvo footy.
Yeah, they got
$1.40. Newcastle Knights, $2.98.
I'm going to stick with Newcastle here.
Ooh, Bradman Best out, Gagai out, Kalen Ponga out.
Yep.
And at 4 Pines.
Yep. Mate,
Tom Travoy.
Go. I cannot pick a winner in this whole season. Like, my tipping has been fucking awful. So Fletcher Sharp goes to fullback, right? So he's been playing well.
Yep. Will Price?
Yeah, he's the kid of the future. I mean, he had a few poor errors on the weekend, but he's just young. Jackson Hastings, like, he does well controlling that side. He'll get you around the team, get you around the field. Frizzell, yeah.
Well, Tom Travojevic, first game back last week.
Oluwatu comes back in just, yeah. Yeah. Turbo looked ginger.
He looked like a shell of himself.
Yeah, look, he's been out for a long period, man. Soft tissue damage. Oh, Do
you reckon, is he ready to be back maybe?
I have no doubt he's ready to be back. I just feel like he's probably doubting his ability or his abilities to open up or, you know, just take that extra step, put his body in front.
So you say he's ready to be back, but how can you play at the very top grade and doubt that? I know he's free. Yeah,
of course you can. You need confidence to come back. When I come back from 16 weeks out with my ankles, I didn't ever feel like my ankle was 100%.
Yeah,
I could get through a training session, but I didn't feel confident stepping off it.
Yeah,
you know, like he'll build back into the game. He's just had so many of these injuries that, of course, your mind just tells you, like, at that last split second, no, you can't do that, and you might just pull back a little bit.
I think that's why sports psychologists now are so good, because it's like when you hit, like if you do an ACL or you have knee, I remember I had minor surgery on knee, so I used to always think that's my bad knee. I label that in my head. That is my bad knee.
Yeah.
And it's the time to you physically recover and then you psychologically recover.
Exactly.
He's got to do that.
So I've got Newcastle in an upset. There you go.
Newcastle in an upset. All right. That's the round.
Very good.
We'll move on to your bet of the week, which is
this week's ride with Reni. I've got the Battle of Wayne Bennett, Dolphins versus South. I'm taking Dolphins head to head, and I've got Trey Fuller and Herbie Farmworth to score within the first 60 minutes for $9 only on CrossBet.
Are you prepared to lose today? Set a deposit limit. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.